What's up, betas? Do you want to become Sigma like me and Max? Come join the Math for Dummies.
So today we're going to be talking about the differentiation basics. So as we talked about in the last video, differentiation is pretty much how you get a derivative equation from the original equation. And so as for the basics of it, there are usually like two different parts of differentiation with different rules. So one of them is with terms with x, which I call the x terms right here, and the other one is with constants. So pretty much how you differentiate terms with x, or like x terms, shown like right here. So here, a stands for a constant, and b is the exponent for the x. And how you differentiate that would be you take the b term down in front of the x. So here you can see b term in front of the x, and then you have in the exponent part b minus 1. So whatever b is, you subtract 1 from it and keep that in the exponent part. As for the a, the constant, you just leave that in front of whatever this is going on. So yeah, a times bracket whatever I just talked about with the b, like b minus 1. So here for an actual example, say y is equal to 3x minus 2 in the original equation. How you're gonna get the differentiation into the derivative equation, that would be, so here we take 3 and we kind of like separate it from the rest of the term. So 3 outside of the bracket, and here in the bracket we do exactly what I talked about before. So you bring the b down, you bring the 2 down in front of the x, and 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, so that'll be a 1. And now you just remove the bracket by 3 multiplied by 2x. And that is the resulting 3x from the original equation by using differentiation. And now as for how the constants are differentiated, as I've talked about before, a constant alongside with an x term, you sort of just leave it outside of whatever is happening. But a constant on its own have a different set of rules. So here we can see for the original equation, y is equal to 6x plus 12. And y prime, which is also like the slope, like the gradient, and it can be also written as dy dx, which means the difference in y over the difference in x, which meant the slope. And these can be used interchangeably. However, for this video, I'll just stick to y prime, so y with the dash. And back to the topic, so y equals 6x plus 12. How we're gonna differentiate that with the constant is like this. So, as we talked about before, with the 6x, we just do the same set of rules right here. So 6x, that would be a x to the power 1, but I didn't write it there because it's just 6x, also 6x to the power 1. So 1 minus 1, that is equal to 0. And 1 brought down in front of x, so that's what we got in the bracket by using this formula. And also we leave the 6 in front of the brackets. So in the brackets we get 1 times x to the power 0. X to the power 0, however, is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So that term overall would be 6. However, for the constants, no matter what they are, as long as there aren't any like x's in this term, it will just go on to be 0. So right here, since it is a 12 and not 12x, it will be a 0 in the differentiated equation. And for the result, we get 6 from 6x plus 12. So no matter what the constant is, you just turn it into a 0. And for differentiating with multiple terms, so like 1 term, 2 term, you just do differentiation for each of the terms separately, and you add them or you subtract them all at the end. And now down here, I have 3 examples for us to figure out. For example number 1, so y equal to 5x to the power of 6 plus 3x to the power of 2 plus 12. And that is gonna be y prime equals 5 bracket, bring down the 6, 6x, 6 minus 1 to the power of 5 plus 3 bracket, bring down the 2, 2x, 2 minus 1 equals to 1 plus 12 turns into a 0 because it's a constant. And now we just round all of those up. Y prime is equal to 5 times 6, 30 x to the power of 5 plus 3 times 2x to the power of 1, that is 6x to the power of 1. And I'm moving on for the next set of examples. Here, y is equal to 3 over 4x to the power of 2. This, however, you have to be careful with because the x is in the denominator, so it's easily messed up. And I would recommend that you rewrite it as 3 over 4 multiplied by x to the power of negative 2, since it's in the denominator instead of the numerator. And here, y prime is equal to, so we just use the same equation as above, and we use this instead of that, which is a lot less confusing. So again, 3 over 4 outside of the bracket, bring down the negative 2 times x to the negative 2 minus 1. So that is negative 3. And you end up with something like negative 3 over 2 times x to the negative 3. Or you can also write it as negative 3 over 2x to the power of 3. And finally, for our last example, it's similar to the example number 2. However, this time x is in the numerator. So y prime is equal to 3 over 4 outside of the bracket, x to the power of 2, bring the 2 down, x, 2 minus 1, go to 1. So 3 over 4 times 2x to the power of 1. That would be 3 over 2 times x to the power of 1. Follow us for more content in the upcoming days for becoming a full-fledged Sigma, so make sure to watch our next video on differential calculus.